What's up, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with some more fantasy football content. Today, I am going over why Travis Etienne should be taken with the number one overall pick in rookie dynasty drafts. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button on this video, hit that subscribe button to stick around for more videos. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I've been doing a series on the top players in this year's NFL draft and making the case for each of them for why they should be the number one overall pick in rookie dynasty mock drafts. Check out that series that I will link at the top and in the description. Yeah, so let's dive into why Travis Etienne, I would take him with the number one overall dynasty rookie pick. First off, we're going to talk about his pro day. Weighed in at 215 pounds at 5'10". That is a really good weight for him for an NFL running back. When you run a 4.4, he was running anywhere between that and a 4.41 and a 4.43. He was charted at multiple times. That's how pro days go. But he's probably running at least a 4.5 or less for sure. 4.45, something in that range, right around there, which is a really good time for a back of that size. It's pretty good. And his vertical jump wasn't great, 33.5 inches. Broad jump, 10 feet, 8 inches, pretty solid. But really, neither of those numbers matter a ton when you've been as productive as he has in the college game. But I do think the height and weight show, I think his biggest concern coming into his pro day and coming into the NFL was how big of a workload was he going to be able to maintain and sustain in the NFL? Was he going to be a guy who could be, a true three-down back or not? And I think he can be a team's number one running back for sure. I don't know if he's going to be, a 300 carry running back, but I think he's a guy who could be given, 230 carries, be used very frequently in the passing game as well, be a 60, 70 reception type of guy, getting you closer to 300 touches. It might not all be all in carries, but I think he can carry a pretty heavy workload, and he's a dynamic player. Let's move on to his production in college at Clemson, where he absolutely dominated. So yeah, Travis Etienne led the ACCs. When he left, he's the all-time leading rusher. He leads in touchdowns scored as well. Absolutely dominated. You can see even from his freshman year, he had 766 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns. Really, really, really was dynamic the entire time he was at Clemson. Look at his sophomore year, he hit for 204 carries, 1,658 yards, good for 24 rushing touchdowns. Only had 12 receptions that year, but came back the next year and really worked on his passing game in his last 2 years while he was at Clemson. His junior year, he went for 207 for 1,614 yards, 7.8 per carry, 19 touchdowns, 37 receptions, and 4 receiving touchdowns. You can see that 11.7 yards per reception, too. That's a great number. Followed up by his senior year, a little bit less productive. The offensive line wasn't quite as good. He didn't get quite the same work either. But in 12 games, he still had 168 carries, good for 914 yards, 5.4 yards a carry, 14 rushing touchdowns. And then through the air, added 48 receptions, good for 588 yards and 12.3 yards per reception. He has been dynamic in the passing game his entire time while he's in college. He's been dynamic running the ball, averaging 7.2. And yeah, he's had 686 carries. He's been at Clemson for a while. But 686 carries, it could be worse than that. For 4 years, it was kind of spaced out a little bit more. He wasn't really getting run to the ground any of those given years. Even though he was being, utilized very heavily, he was being very productive. He was really just very efficient. So I don't worry about that super long term. Not, but he is a running back. So shelf life's probably 5 to 6 years or somewhere in that range, unless you're a really special dude. That's just the way the league kind of works, as we've seen over time. But yeah, I think you can see from the workload that he was able to take in college that he's going to be a guy who can take 200 plus carries and catch the ball consistently out of the backfield in the NFL game right away as a rookie. As far as, just watching Travis Etienne, he has excellent burst through the hole. Is very affluent pass catcher, really one of the best I've seen coming out of the college game since probably Christian McCaffrey. Put him in that range. I don't know. He's not, Christian McCaffrey by any means. But as far as a guy who can consistently catch the ball out of the college game and has fluent, hips and legs and catches the ball cleanly all the time, and has 2 seasons of getting a ton of pass catching. Sure, Najee Harris has a ton of pass catching as well, and he's a very fluent pass catcher. But I think Travis Etienne is just a little bit, he's definitely better of a pass catcher in my mind, even though Najee Harris is capable of that. I think he'll be utilized as that in the NFL. Travis Etienne takes it to another level. So let's dive into Travis Etienne's pro comparison, and we'll talk about some landing spots for him. So I have him compared to an Aaron Jones or an Alvin Kamara. He has a similar stature to both those guys. I think he's going to get a similar workload to those guys that are given, right around 180 to 220 something carries, maybe 230 carries, and then being given 50 to 70 receptions in the passing game, depending on where he goes, of course. But yeah, I think these are two dynamic backs in fantasy, and this is who I see Travis Etienne being most similar to. I think he's a dynamic player out of the backfield, is a very good running back, both as a runner and as a pass catcher. Proven that at Clemson, proven he's a nose for the end zone, proven that he's a good player. If he lands on a team like the Miami Dolphins, the Atlanta Falcons, the Buffalo Bills, any team he goes to he's going to be utilized to pretty much the maximum extent. I feel like no matter what team that drafts him, they're going to be putting enough capital. They're going to plan on getting him 200 rushes and utilizing him in the passing game if they're going to take him. And I think, any of those teams, he would be really, really good on. The New York Jets, another team that he could get a large, he's going to get that workload on. Yeah, so if you've made it to this point in the video, please hit the like button on the video, subscribe to stick around for more content. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section as always, and I will respond. This has been Fantasy Joe. I'll see you guys next time.